On the evening of November 18th, something unfolded that almost no one expected. At the diplomatic reception, Queen Camilla stepped out wearing the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik, one of the rarest and most elusive tiaras in the royal family. After decades of being rarely seen and never used in the regular royal rotation, this jewel has finally stepped into the spotlight, not on a bride, but on a reigning queen. And in that moment, it became clear: the vault still holds stories that are ready to return to us. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. It was a significant evening for another reason, too. For the first time since 2001, the annual diplomatic reception was held within the historic walls of Windsor Castle rather than Buckingham Palace. The King and Queen were joined by the Prince of Wales, though the Princess of Wales was absent. Earlier that day, she had made a significant solo appearance in London at the Future Workforce Summit. Queen Camilla arrived wearing an embroidered white evening gown, a classic, elegant choice that served as a perfect neutral canvas. Across her bodice was the blue sash of the Order of the Garter, secured with the star, and on her shoulder, the King's Royal Family Order. Everything about her appearance reflected traditional diplomatic protocol. Truth be told, I wasn't really expecting any sensational choices that evening. We've become used to seeing Camilla rotate through a trusted selection of favorites, and I assumed this night would follow that pattern. But she certainly knows how to surprise us. First, she chose an incredibly rare tiara that, until now, had never appeared on a queen, making her only the second woman in the British royal family to ever wear it publicly. And secondly, even if I had possessed a little insider information that she was planning to wear emeralds, I would have placed a firm bet on the Vladimir tiara, another piece we haven't seen in action for quite some time. But that is not what happened. Instead, resting on her hair was a solid, imposing wall of platinum and pave-set diamonds, and right in the center, unmistakable in its size and depth of color, sat that colossal 93.7-carat cabochon emerald. It was the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik. Seeing it there, crowning the queen consort at a state event, felt almost surreal. You have to remember, aside from Princess Eugenie's wedding in 2018, this tiara has effectively been invisible. It spent decades in the vault, unworn publicly by the Queen Mother who received it, and unworn by the late Queen Elizabeth. To see it now, after 83 years in the royal collection and only a brief bridal appearance, finally entering the main royal rotation, is a moment that shifts our understanding of the collection. It was a bold, glittering surprise that instantly transformed the evening. But to really understand the weight of this choice, we need to look back at the long, quiet history of this masterpiece. Leaving the sparkle of Windsor for a moment, let's step back into the world that created such a commanding piece. This tiara wasn't born in the royal workshops. It was commissioned in 1919 from Boucheron by the Honorable Mrs. Ronald Greville, a formidable society hostess who certainly knew the power of a good entrance. The design is a classic kokoshnik, a shape that had become incredibly fashionable thanks to the influence of the Russian imperial court. It is a masterclass in construction. Brilliant and rose-cut diamonds, pave-set in platinum, framing 6 smaller emeralds on either side. But frankly, everything else fades a little when you look at the center. That dominant, glowing green heart is a massive cabochon emerald. It is a stone that demands attention from across the room. Yet, here is the fascinating thing about Mrs. Greville and this tiara. While we have various accounts of her wearing her magnificent emeralds, she was pictured wearing this specific tiara only once. It was at a concert at the Austrian Embassy in London in 1937, during the festivities for the coronation of King George VI. She wore it with her emerald necklaces and earrings, a full display of wealth, and then, visually at least, it seemed to go quiet. When Dame Margaret Greville passed away in 1942, she left the majority of her magnificent collection to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. It was a bequest that quietly reshaped the royal vaults. Writing to Queen Mary that year, the Queen seemed genuinely moved by the gesture, saying Mrs. Greville had left the jewels with her loving thoughts. She affectionately called her a dear old thing, and admitted she was very touched. She also mentioned that Due to the slowness of lawyers and death duties, she wouldn't see what the collection consisted of for a long time. But she added, quite relatable really, that it is rather exciting to be left something, and I do admire beautiful stones with all my heart. When the jewels finally arrived a few months later, housed in an initialed black tin trunk, there was immense press attention surrounding its contents. Everyone wanted to know what lay inside. Yet, the palace remained discreet. While the public would eventually come to recognize many of the spectacular necklaces, earrings, and brooches as they appeared over the years, the full inventory of that trunk has never been publicly revealed, leaving a sense of mystery hanging over the bequest that persists to this day. While many of the treasures drawn from that trunk, like the famous Greville diamond tiara, quickly found their way into the spotlight, becoming signature royal pieces, the Emerald Kokoshnik followed a completely different path. It was a path of absolute obscurity. For 7 long decades, this masterpiece was effectively a ghost. Because it was never worn publicly by the Queen Mother or Queen Elizabeth II, its very existence became a matter of debate among historians. It remained invisible until Vincent Meilhan made a remarkable discovery deep in the Boucheron archives, finding an original image that confirmed its grandeur. Yet even then, for us, it remained just a black and white photograph, a paper memory of a jewel that seemed destined to stay hidden. Then, 99 years after its creation, that silence finally broke. The moment remains vivid in my mind, and perhaps in yours too. It was the autumn of 2018 at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. As the 1977 Rolls-Royce Phantom 6 pulled up, we didn't see the expected diamond floral motif. We saw green. Princess Eugenie stepped out, looking absolutely radiant in her gown, by Peter Pilato and Christopher DeVos. And there it was, glittering atop her head, the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik. It was the first time a member of the royal family had ever been photographed wearing it. It was a revelation to finally see the scale of it in color, to see how that massive center stone caught the light. After the wedding, the tiara went on public display at Windsor Castle in the spring of 2019, allowing us a closer look. But as soon as the exhibition ended, the vault doors closed once again, and the tiara disappeared back into the shadows, until last night. And seeing it move from a royal bride to a queen consort naturally raises the question, is this the start of a new chapter for the most elusive pieces in the collection? By stepping out in this piece, Queen Camilla has done something rather extraordinary. She has become just the second British royal lady in history to wear the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik in public. Think about that for a moment. This tiara has been in the royal collection since 1942, yet before last night, only Princess Eugenie had taken it out in public. It was, to put it mildly, a shock. Even seasoned court jewelers and experts admitted this came as a big surprise. As I mentioned earlier, the expectation was firmly set on the Vladimir tiara for an emerald occasion. For many of us, that tiara carries the weight of tradition. It feels like the safe, recognizable emerald choice, deeply associated with the late queen. Choosing the Greville instead wasn't just a style choice. It was a deliberate move to bring a forgotten heavyweight back into the light. It signaled that Camilla is willing to reach past the obvious choices and revive treasures that have been sleeping for generations. And she certainly knew how to let the emerald speak. That same embroidered white gown we saw at the start of the evening now became a quiet backdrop, allowing the tiara's deep green to do all the talking. The look was anchored by the blue sash and star of the Order of the Garter and the King's Royal Family Order, adding that necessary touch of regal formality. But while the tiara was undeniably the headline act, it didn't perform alone. If you look closer, you see that every other jewel she wore that night, from her neck to her wrists, was chosen to create a blinding wall of diamonds around that central emerald, and each of those accompanying pieces has a fascinating story of its own. To balance such a commanding wall of platinum and emeralds, the queen turned to a trusted favorite for her ears, part of her pear-shaped diamond demi-parure. These earrings have been a staple in her jewelry box since the very early days of her royal marriage. In fact, she debuted them all the way back in November 2005, during a visit to San Francisco. They feature a distinct, almost artistic cluster of pear-shaped gems that feels quite modern compared to the heavy antique style of the Kokoshnik. There has long been speculation, though never confirmed, that these diamonds might have been taken from a dismantled tiara. Whatever their origin, they are incredibly versatile workhorses in her collection. Since the queen does not have pierced ears, these clip-ons are a comfortable, reliable choice that she has worn to everything from theater nights to state banquets. While the earrings are a reliable professional choice, the necklace she chose carries a far deeper, more personal resonance. Coiled around her neck was a glittering diamond serpent, a piece created by the prestigious house of Van Cleef and Arpels. If you were able to look incredibly closely, you would spot two tiny, delicate rubies set as the serpent's eyes, a secret flash of red amidst the diamonds. This isn't a jewel from the royal vaults. It is a treasured family heirloom. The palace has confirmed that it belonged to Camilla's adored grandmother, Sonia Keppel, and its history is quite miraculous. In 1966, a cat burglar actually scaled a drain pipe at Sonia's home, stealing a fortune in jewels, yet this piece somehow survived to be passed down to the future queen. It serves as a fascinating bridge between eras. Sonia was the daughter of Alice Keppel, the famous mistress of King Edward VII, so seeing this diamond snake around Camilla's neck creates a subtle, almost poetic link between the Edwardian court and the reign of King Charles III. The serpent motif has historically symbolized transformation and immortality. Queen Victoria even had a snake engagement ring. But for Camilla, this seems to be a personal talisman. She has worn it for decades, from private dinners before her marriage to state banquets, keeping a piece of her own family close amidst the weight of official history. Lower down, flashing on her wrists, we find a direct link to the Jazz Age. These are the Queen Mother's Art Deco Cartier bracelets, part of a famous set of 5 that were individually gifted to her by the future King George VI, then the Duke of York, for birthdays and Christmases between 1923 and 1925. They are absolute classics of that era, sleek, geometric, and versatile. The set includes 3 gem-set bracelets, one each with rubies, emeralds, and sapphires, and 2 purely diamond ones. A fascinating detail about this set is its history of transformation. Back in the 1920s and 30s, the Queen Mother didn't just stack them on her arm. She actually mounted 3 of them onto a frame to wear as a trendy bandeau tiara. In recent years, these have become real favorites for Queen Camilla. We are seeing them appear constantly in her rotation, becoming something of a signature look. Now, I have to be honest with you. The press photographs from the reception aren't quite sharp enough to give us a crystal-clear view of exactly which configuration she chose this time. We can see she wore one of the all-diamond versions on her right wrist. But as for her left, while it is difficult to confirm without a high-resolution close-up, I strongly suspect she selected the emerald and diamond bracelet from the set. It would be the logical, perfect partner to that green giant on her head, tying the whole look together. And just when you thought the dazzling display was complete, there was one final hidden treasure. Pinned to the top of her garter sash was a simple line of light, Queen Victoria's diamond bar brooch. If you have a very sharp eye, you might actually recognize this piece. Queen Camilla quietly brought it back into circulation quite recently, during the state banquet for the Trumps. On that night, however, she wore it pinned to the back of her sash to secure it in place, so it was almost impossible to see. But tonight, she moved it to the apex of her shoulder, allowing it to catch the light. Queen Victoria commissioned this 10-diamond piece back in 1838 specifically for her garter insignia. But it didn't start life as a single brooch. Victoria originally wore this as 2 separate clips before having them joined into the bar we see today. But what makes this small jewel truly extraordinary is its status. Queen Victoria designated it an heirloom of the crown, a special title meaning it passes directly from monarch to monarch, belonging not to the person, but to the institution itself. This leads to a fascinating distinction that often confuses even royal watchers. While the Queen Mother absolutely adored this specific 10-diamond brooch and wore it constantly, her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, was never seen wearing it. Instead, the late queen wore a nearly identical, but slightly larger version set with 14 diamonds, a piece that had also been seen on Queen Mary. So, by anchoring her sash with this modest but deeply significant 10-diamond bar tonight, Queen Camilla is doing something quite touching. She is reviving a piece that was worn constantly by the Queen Mother, but which hasn't been seen in public since her passing over 20 years ago. By bringing it back, she is effectively bridging the gap between the generations and restoring a true heirloom of the crown to the light. It's a perfect example of how, in the royal world, the deepest stories are sometimes hidden in the smallest, most overlooked details. Looking at the ensemble as a whole, I found myself thinking about the balance of it all. It was a fascinating, perhaps even slightly puzzling choice to pair such a dominant emerald-heavy tiara with an almost exclusively diamond-supporting cast. Usually, Queen Camilla enjoys wearing a matching set, a demi-parure where the stones echo one another. Yet here, apart from a likely bracelet on her wrist, she left the rest of the royal emeralds in the vault. It does make you wonder why. Perhaps the grand emerald necklaces at her disposal felt too heavy for the delicate neckline of that white gown. Or maybe it was a matter of the stones themselves. Emeralds can be tricky, and their hues don't always play nicely together. By staying with white diamonds, she let the Kokoshnik stand entirely on its own. Do you prefer it this way, or would you have liked to see more green? There was, however, one small detail that betrayed the fact that this was a first outing for the Queen. Did you notice the height of the tiara? Unlike Princess Eugenie, who wore it nestled deep into her hair, on Camilla, the piece sat quite high. From certain angles, you could catch a glimpse of the metal frame and the uprights at the base, creating a slight gap between the jewels and her hair. It wasn't quite the seamless, floating look we are used to seeing from her styling team, who are usually masters at hiding the mechanics of these heavy pieces. But honestly, I'm happy to overlook a bit of visible metal or a mix-and-match approach to gemstones. Perfection is lovely, but seeing a queen willing to experiment, to take a risk, and to dust off a legend, that is far more exciting. So, what does this reappearance actually tell us? By choosing this specific tiara for a diplomatic reception, a regular annual state event, Queen Camilla has effectively signaled that the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik has entered the main rotation. It has been 83 years since this jewel arrived in the royal collection, and now, finally, it seems to have become a working part of the Queen's wardrobe. I simply love this willingness to experiment. It's refreshing to see a queen who isn't afraid to reach for something unexpected. It certainly makes you wonder, and hope, about what might be coming next. If the Emerald Kokoshnik can make such a glorious comeback, perhaps we might finally see other forgotten treasures brought out into the light. Maybe another unseen tiara from the Greville hoard, or a piece that hasn't been worn in generations. It definitely keeps the anticipation high. The only missing piece of the evening, of course, was the Princess of Wales. It is always a shame when she cannot attend, as I do so adore seeing her evening gowns. Although, truth be told, I suspect she might have played it safe and reached for the lover's knot tiara once again. But with the Queen leading the way in reviving rare treasures, perhaps we can hope for some surprises from the princess in the future, too. Ultimately, the evening of November 18th was a delightful surprise. We saw the magnificent Greville Emerald Kokoshnik reimagined not as a bridal piece, but as a jewel fit for a queen. It was a fascinating reminder that in the royal collection, no tiara is ever truly fixed to one person or one event. There is always a new chapter waiting to be written. Now, I am very curious to hear your take. Were you shocked to see Eugenie's wedding tiara on the Queen? And do you hope this means other bridal tiaras might now enter the main rotation? If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button and subscribe. There are many more sparkling stories ahead, and I'd love to explore them with you.